Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nerissa and you are all welcome on this channel. I am a mom of 3 children, 14 years old, 12 years old, and 10-year-old. And my middle child, who is 12, is on the autism spectrum. And today I want to talk about something that we hear all the time as families of autistic children. We hear this a lot. He doesn't look autistic. He looks fine to me. Are you sure he has autism? Are you sure she's autistic? All those stereotyping questions, stereotyping comments. And for a very long time, autism has been presented in a very narrow way, where people expect no eye contact. They expect, the moment you say, my child is on the autism spectrum, they don't expect eye contact at all from that person. They also don't expect that person to have speech. They also expect that person to be constantly steaming throughout. And they expect very obvious behaviors. But autism is a spectrum. Being a spectrum, it means that some autistic children will have speech and speak fluently. That also means that they can be struggling deeply with social cues, but because they are speaking fluently, people then assume that they don't have the challenges that autistic individuals have. Some make eye contact, but it feels physically uncomfortable for them. Some sit quietly in class, in a church service, in a family meeting, in any setup, they sit quietly, but they will be battling sensory overload from within. Autism doesn't always look loud and clear. Sometimes it looks like anxiety. Sometimes it looks like shyness. Sometimes it looks like very confident or overconfident. Sometimes it looks like good behavior for those individuals who understand how to mask so well. That's why with autism, we always say if you have met one individual on the autism spectrum, you have only met one. And you have learned about that one particular individual. My child was diagnosed about 10 years ago. And ever since his diagnosis, I've met so many hundreds of children on the autism spectrum from other families. And I have not met one whose autism presents itself the way it does on my son. That's how wide the autism spectrum is. It presents itself differently from one individual to another. Hence, we always encourage each other as parents to say, study your own child. If you are going to be comparing your child to the next child, you are going to be in the trap of frustration because you are comparing two different individuals whose experiences with this condition is also different. Let's talk about masking. Masking is when a child studies the world around them and comes up, his system, his board, comes up with a system to survive, to cope around. They study the environment and realize, for me to cope here, this is what I have to do. For me to manage this situation, this sensory overload, this is what I have to do. Sometimes masking can look like forcing eye contact. And people will be applauding. Now my child is making eye contact. It could be masking from their perspective. They are doing it because that is what is expected of them, to look people in the eye. They rehearse conversations. And in that rehearsing, it can end up being recorded as echolalia. They rehearse conversations because they don't want to be surprised. They want to make sure they know what they're going to say in the conversation. They suppress stimming. They laugh when everyone else is laughing. Even what is being laughed at doesn't make sense to them or doesn't make them laugh. They will just laugh to follow the suit. And to the outside world, they look fine. To the outside world, they look neurotypical. But when they get warm, they shut down, they melt down. The aggression or tears roll down their cheeks. Why? Because warm is the only place their nervous system feels safe. They feel safe, and that is the place where they will release everything they've been holding on to. That is the only place where they know they are safe to not laugh at things that are not laughable according to them. That is the only place where they are not expected to communicate using eye contact. And that is not bad parenting. That is not manipulation. That is nervous system exhaustion. Let's talk about the harm of expecting autism to be in a certain way on an individual. The moment we hear that he is autistic, she is autistic, those expectations that we might have, the harm of you can't tell, the comments that we make say, but you know, your child, if you didn't tell me, I was not going to tell. It's okay to make that comment, but just know that it's not a compliment. It's not a compliment. When someone says he doesn't look autistic, what families often hear is, you are exaggerating. You are exaggerating the diagnosis. This is not how autism look like. What families hear is, it cannot be that hard. It cannot be that hard. Maybe there was a misdiagnosis. When you say he doesn't look autistic, this is how it feels and this is how it gets interpreted. But there's nothing wrong with your child. I also said this. I didn't say there's anything wrong. I just told you about his condition. But when you say, but he doesn't look autistic, he look normal. I did not say he doesn't look normal, because autism is not about his looks. But autism is not about what you can see in 5 minutes. Autism is not what you can see in a photo or in a 3-minute video. Autism is the way the brain is wired. You cannot see how somebody's brain is wired from just staring at their photo and looking at their physical features. It's about what the child or the individual is experiencing on a day-to-day basis. It's about those invisible struggles, which are a real struggle. As a parent to a special needs child, an autistic one for that matter, one of the hardest things in my advocating for my child, it's advocating for a child whose struggles are not always visible. You see the anxiety as a mom, you see the effort, you see the exhaustion, you see the burnout, but the world only sees. As a parent, one of the hardest things is advocating for a child whose struggles are not always visible. You see the anxiety. You look at your child, you see the effort. You see the exhaustion, the physical exhaustion, the mental exhaustion. You see the burnout. But the world only sees the surface, only sees the well-dressed, well-groomed individual. And that can feel very, very lonely. So instead of saying, he seems fine to me, try saying, how can I support you? Believe you me, the parents that you ask that, they know exactly how you can support them. They know exactly, and it will help them also to check what exactly kind of help they need at that time. Instead of questioning the diagnosis, trust the parents who live with this reality on a day-to-day basis. Autism doesn't have one face. It doesn't have one behavior. And it does not have one story. It is a spectrum. And every autistic person deserves to be understood beyond their appearance. In closing, if this resonated with you, or if you're a parent who has heard they don't look autistic, I feel you. I see you. You are not imagining it. You are not exaggerating. And your child's experience is valid. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to understand that autism doesn't always look the way they think it does. See you in the next video. Before I go, I want to show you my son's book, which he wrote. He wrote this book when he was 12 years old, the older brother to my son who is on the autism spectrum, and he shares his lived experiences. Maybe, just maybe, it will give you a bigger picture of what we go through as a family. It gives you an idea of the autism spectrum itself. You need that copy. If you know a family that can benefit from that copy of the book, please do let me know. I will show you the picture of the book is just after I've concluded this video. Other than that, see you in the next video. Keep well. Bye.